We are back on Morning Line with us, Dr. Friday Burke, our tax consultant expert, taking your phone calls both on the Plus if you'd like to call in, as well as on Facebook, newschannel5.com, streaming live, trying to help as many of you as possible. This tax stuff makes my head spin. And a couple of these quick before we get to some more phone calls, Dr. Friday.
Sure.
Sherry's asking, who is considered a dependent, if you can clarify that basic question.
Dependent is anybody that you're giving more than 50% of care to. Pretty much is the bottom line. It doesn't have to be necessarily your child or your grandchild. Doesn't have to be descendant.
50% based on what? Meaning that
so let's say someone lives in your house, you're providing room, food, a car. They're not making more than $12,000 a year, because that's pretty much the standard deduction now. Then you would pretty much, and you can show. And again, if you've got a one-bedroom apartment and someone's living with you and your rent's $700 a month, then you're probably not providing more than 50% if they're making $10,000 or $12,000 a year, right?
Gotcha.
So you have to do the math. But the IRS basically says you have to provide more than 50% of their care, and you have to be, and ideally they need to be under the age of 21. Now that doesn't mean your grandparents, your parents, they can also be dependents of yours. So there's a very vague line on that one as far as I'm concerned, but the definition basically comes out 50% of care is the number one, and the earning. They can't be earning more than the standard deduction, which right now is $12,550.
Okay, because most people hear dependent and they instantly think, well, that would be children.
Right.
But it
not always.
Can be more than
College
that,
kids can be dependents. God knows a lot of them come back home looking for work and finishing up their degrees.
What if a child, for whatever reason, I think about like a child actor, is making millions,
well, obviously,
and they're home?
They're not going to want to be someo's dependent, because that's not going to be a tax advantage.
There you go. Just thought I'd throw that out there. All right, let's go next to Dan. Dan, good morning. Hi, Dan.
Hey.
Hey.
Dr. Friday, I enjoy listening to your commercials, so I've got a couple questions.
Okay. Sure, go ahead.
One question is there much difference in dollar amount between retiring and drawing Social Security at 62, 63, 64, 65? Is there much dollar difference in those years? And the second question is, I was born in 1960, November. So this coming November, I'll be 62. Do I file for Social Security? So when I turn 62, someone's telling me that I may not be able to file for Social Security till the following year.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you a little caveat. I don't do Social Security, so I may not be able to answer all of your questions. Depending on how much money you're earning, I mean, if you're not earning anything right now and you want to get onto Social Security, I believe they did change it to the year in which you turn 62, so you should be able to do it as of your birth date of that year. But I would definitely check that out with Social Security. And as far as taking it earlier or not, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big one. If you're still working, taking Social Security before your full Social Security age, in my opinion, isn't necessarily, because it limits how much you can earn. And you know, again, I don't know your health, these people's health issues, and maybe they're, they're very not likely to be able to work, then that might be the best solution for them. But after you hit your full Social Security, unlike some financial planners, I'm all about go ahead and take your Social Security, and then you can earn all you want. You will pay tax on it. Doesn't change anything. Most people are going to pay tax all the way through their retirement anyways, because if you have any kind of retirement, your Social Security becomes taxable anyways.
Gotcha. And some people, though, will say at 62 they'll take it early and they want to quit their job. They've already got their 401k and their savings in the bank, and they're fine. Right. They don't want to work anymore. It's not like they're making a ton, but they may get $2,100 a month from Social Security to supplement whatever else they have, and they'll take it early as opposed to waiting. And as far as the difference, you can go to irs.gov and see. Punch in.
SSA.gov, actually.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. SSA.gov, and you can run and you can sign in, because I've done that with some of my clients, and it's wonderful. Another great site. You want to be honest.
I get those mixed up.
I know, but
you're right. Thank you for correcting me.
But either way, you can sign in, and we'll tell you how much you get today if you're 62 or whatever, and then every growth, and then all the way up to what, 72 I think it is nowadays, because I think full retirement's 72 versus 70, or am I wrong? Is it 70?
That I'm not sure.
I'm not either.
It keeps changing.
Nick and I are changing. I know IRAs are up to 72. You don't have to take your RMDs.
But go to that Social Security site and punch in that formula, and you'll see. And yes, If you wait, it is more.
8%.
But is it that much more than maybe worth you taking now, depending on the circumstance you're in? A lot of people are deciding, especially coming out of the pandemic, I want my money now. I don't even know if Social Security will be there in 10 years, which it will be.
Heard that my entire life.
But people, whatever, take it. So just decide what's best for you. Yeah. Let's go to Tom. Tom, good morning. Hi, Tom.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
You can ask the IRS the same question and you'll get 10 different answers. My question is, does this favor the wealthy? Let's take, for example, Donald Trump. What do you know about that? So please enlighten us. Don't fluff it off. I've heard all kinds of stuff about him.
Okay.
Well, we don't have his tax returns, so we don't know.
I'm not sure where we're going with that. The only conversation that most of the time people basically come up is, he hadn't paid taxes, but he also had an NOL. And in business, people, we do lose money sometimes. So all I can say is, I've never seen his tax return, so I don't know what his tax situation is. But I don't feel the tax code right now favors the wealthy. In fact, I think it favors the poor, because the tax code now, you can earn $12,550. If you're single, you get $25,000. I got my numbers now. $25,100 if you're married, $18,800 if you're single, married, head of household. Excuse me. So, you can earn quite a bit of money before you pay $1 tax. So that helps people that are at the lower income brackets to basically pay little to no tax and still be able to work and besides receive their benefits.
Gotcha. All right, we're on Facebook as well this morning. Wanda asking, can you withdraw retirement to pay for medical expenses and not have to pay the penalties?
Okay, so there is it has to be on an IRA. There are early withdrawals that you can actually get a waiver on. If you pay for medical, it has to be paid directly to the medical, and it has to be $20,000 or less. So you can't pay all your medical with $100,000 or $200,000 from it, but you can take a draw out, pay it directly to the medical, and then get that waiver on that. But it has to be used specifically for medical expenses. It's like a first-time home buyer. You can do the same thing, first $10,000. There's a few other ones.
Okay. With regard to some of these retirements, I have a 401k through the station here. I also have a Roth IRA, which is the money where you pay taxes on it first and it goes in. Now, we had some expenses we needed to pick up doing some stuff around the house, and we're just kind of tight. So I was able to draw on my Roth and take money out tax-free, even though I'm not of age quite yet to be able to really start drawing on that. But they said I could take out the principal, not the interest, right?
Yeah, so the bottom line is Roths are great, especially for the entrepreneur, because sometimes their money gets a little tight every once in a while. Yeah. So whatever you put in as principal, you can take back out. You just can't take the growth until you're either 55
you can take
or whatever.
The principal anytime?
Anytime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can do it at any time. Well, it's not something we probably want to promote too much, because then people are like, oh, I can go grab that money.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah, just let it, forget you have it. But yes, if there's an emergency and you have a choice between an IRA or a Roth IRA, obviously taking at least up to the principal in the Roth IRA is always a better move, because you're already in a tight spot. You don't want to have to add a tax problem on top of it. Right.
Okay. Well, anyway, it was handy. And so I was able to take some of that out.
Right.
Brought down my total a bit. But I mean, I didn't have any taxes.
Time to let it grow,
I didn't have to take out a loan, and it was able to pay off. So keep that in mind. As far as 401k, if you start drawing out early, then and I know you're not a financial advisor in that regard, but you pay penalties sometimes. You start.
Right. I mean, it's
your money. You can take
is like an IRA. Both of them are the same as far as as long as they're not Roths. You're going to get hit with a 10% penalty if you take it out. That was why 2020 had some uniqueness where you could take money out of an IRA without penalty and spread it over 3-year payments. And keep in mind, that's something else that's happening. In 2021, if you took that money out, we paid the first one on 2020. 2021, you'll pay a third of that if you did spread it. So make sure you either use the same tax program or the tax person. Make sure you claim it, because the IRS will be more than glad to send you a love letter telling you forgot it with penalty.
Kelly's asking a question that I think maybe a lot of people who, for whatever reason right now, are selling their homes have a question about.
Oh, yes.
Being retired, if we sell our house and get $300,000 above we paid for it, what happens to our profit?
So it sounds like she said we, so would we guess that she's married?
I'm guessing she's married.
Okay, so assuming that you're married, you can go party. You don't have to reinvest the money. You don't have to do. You have a $500,000 tax exclusion, assuming you lived in that home 2 out of the last 5 years.
So you don't pay taxes on it.
You don't have to, but you do need to file it on your tax return to accept the exclusion. But there is no taxes. And if you were single, you'd have $250,000. So if she was single, she'd have a $50,000 situation. But if she's married, she'd be in wonderful shape.
Capital gains, then, when you pay capital gain, what is that a capital gain?
Only above it. So in her case, if she made $300, she was single, she'd have $250 exclusion, she'd have $50,000, she'd have to pay long-term capital gains, depending on the tax bracket, anywhere between 15 and 23.8%.
Good to know. Good answer for her. And Wanda was asking, we want to remind folks, if you enjoy the show and you want to view it again, this re-airs today on News Channel 5 Plus at 3 o'clock. And it will also be posted to newschannel5.com, so you can go on there and check it out again if you want to hear yourself on the phone calling in. We get some great calls. Yes. Or you want to say, hey, friend, you want to check out the show and answer some of your questions. Let's go next to Ricky. Ricky, good morning. Hi, Ricky.
Hello. Morning.
Hey. Morning.
I got a friend that didn't get the stimulus package or nothing like that. How does she go about doing that?
Rick, that's a great question, and I'm assuming we're going to have a lot of people this year, same as last year. She needs to go and file taxes for both the year 2020, that would cover the first 2 stimulus, and then 2021 would cover the 3rd stimulus.
Just say, by the way, when you say file taxes, she's going to say, I just want to clear it. Well, I don't know anything. I don't need to. I usually don't.
I get it.
The reason you're filing is so that you get on their radar.
Right. You're filing because on box line 31, you're going to put a dollar amount that's going to turn into a refund for you.
Right.
So bottom line is, I don't care if she's on Social Security or she has no other earnings. And there's a lot of people listening that know people like this. The only way, the IRS is not going to give them to them, only one way, through a tax return. And then, we have to evaluate. Did this person have back child support? Did this person owe back taxes? Because some of the first stimulus were allowed to be used for that. So even though they didn't get it, and maybe they weren't entitled to it. So there's a conversation that needs to be had. Or if you have any luck, go to irs.gov, click in that, type in under the search engine stimulus restrictions, and it will bring up, and just see what applies. The third one, the one in 2021, could not be applied to back child support, back taxes, state income tax, or student loans. Some of the earlier ones were.
Gotcha. Great answer. Listen, we'll take a break on that note. We come back. Final segment with Dr. Friday when we come back. So if you have a question or comment, message us right now. If you're watching on Facebook, newschannel5.com, or we've got a couple lines open, 737-7587. It's a quick hour.
It is.
And I'm learning lots of stuff. And she'll be on again down the road between now and April 18th. But now's your chance. Call in. Final segment right after this.